Hello, everybody. It is great to be here one more time today. My name is Gary Fowler, and I am the host of GSD Presents Silicon Valley AI and Tech. I'm a serial entrepreneur with 17 startups under my belt and 2 unicorns, with software and also Eva.ai, which was recently sold. We love artificial intelligence and quantum computing, and we want to make this world a better place. And with that, I'd like to introduce my incredible guest, Gajo Vanka. He's ambitious, reliable, responsible, and proactive analytics and business transformation professional with more than 20 years worth of experience in areas like private sector encompassing strategic financial planning, reports and analytics, effective decision making, etc. He loves decision making and developing reliable decision analytics tools to be able to support incredible decision making. So with that, I'd like to bring Gajo on. Hi Gajo, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. I couldn't done it better than you, Gary. It's like a perfect marketing guru presenting
Well,
me. So I'm
yeah,
more a
you're
pragmatic
not
kind of a
hard to
person.
present, Gajo. You're not hard to present. You got a lot of stuff. Now I got a question for you. I'm going to
Yep.
start simple. How in the world it says you know English, German, Italian, Russian, Serbian, Croatian, and Bosnian? What's the difference between Serbian, Croatian, and Bosnian?
It's a practically none, except a couple of words and accent. And for some words, we use a letter J, but the Croats doesn't use them. And as far as the Macedonian, it's quite a different language. Nevertheless, the structure is pretty the same. So we are understanding every Serbian, not just myself, understand 90% of what they are speaking with. And
So how far is Macedonia from where you are?
Well, around 550 kilometers from my
Oh,
home.
okay, so it's not that close, yeah.
And since we have, the open road, and each road goes through Macedonia to Greece. Every year, I'm going with my family to vacation in Greece, so we need to pass through Macedonia. Uh,
Now, what is Is Macedonia more like Greece or is it more like Serbia?
Well, it depends how you're looking at things. By their looks, physically, uh, they don't resemble like a typical Serbian. Because Serbs are blonde, tall, and they're like more like a southern people. But they doesn't look even like the people from northern Greece. The people from Thessaloniki. They're having the color like yourself, Gary, but they are quite tall and there's something between Serbs, Greek people, and Bulgarians, and their language is more familiar to people from Bulgaria because it's like the similar structure. But aside of that, culturally speaking, they're they belong to the ex-Yugoslav Federation, and they're more similar to us in terms of tradition, uh, you know, um, common things like food habits and other things like the way how we addressing each other is more common between the Macedonian and Serbs. Bulgarians are a bit different in that sense, but as far as their language structure, they are more they use the terms from Bulgarian more than from Serbian language. But
Interesting. So,
yeah,
what about Kosovo? What's going? I've been to Kosovo a few times. How different is that place?
if you ask anybody in Belgrade, they would always say Kosovo is part of Serbia. Nevertheless, what is going on in the region and our political issue with the Kosovo situation. But yeah, I've traveled a couple of times there. Even though I was warned, you're a Serb, you're going to have a problem. I said, well, I never had any problem. The people from Kosovo live there, kind of a quiet life, and whenever you involve politics, it's like exaggerated like 10 times. So me personally didn't have any issue with any Kosovar people in the past. I didn't had any serious project with them in terms of consultancy or nor any of the company that I worked in the past had any business deal with the Kosovar people. But as far as the startup ecosystem, they're pretty the same like the people from Serbia. They all are Western oriented. They generally all try to make something that is going to have a global impact, then connect between the countries that needs to address any political issue and quarrel that we currently have with the people from Kosovo.
Yeah, I mean,
As far
the
as
people
far
were
as
nice to me, Gajo. When I
yeah,
went there, I mean, I went in. The only thing that was weird is my driver had to take the license plate off the back of the car going in. I don't know what license plate he had on it, but when you went into the city, you went over this hump, and he said he got out of the car and took the license plate off. And I said, "Why did you do that?" He said,
they're
"Well,
extremely afraid because there's some information there. For example, I have a couple of friends who like to spend their vacation in Albania,
mhm,
and in order to come from Serbia to Albania, you need to go through Kosovo, and they're afraid if they use their own car that they will going to be stopped from the Kosovo militia because they heard that they're pretty ferocious and not just interrogating people with Belgrade license plates, but also some foreign people who come from Slovakia or Czech. We also heard rumors that a couple of families who went to vacation in Albania never got back their home. So whenever there is a kind of a political question, I say I don't know personally. I hear from people, but my personal experience is I never went to Albania to vacation, but it doesn't mean that I'm not going to in the next couple of years.
yeah, yeah,
But
no, I
if I
understand."
have, if I have Greece, the Greece is my second home, and I'm
Mhm.
even though the southern parts of Albania are beautiful, they in the past they belonged to Greece, like Samil or Saranda, because they go out to the Ionian Sea, and they're like 20 kilometers far away from Corfu.
Yeah, yeah, sure. No, it's amazing. Like I said, when I was down there, I actually liked it. I worked in a startup, helped them in the startup eco scene, the system for a couple of weeks, and I actually liked it. People were nice there. I did go across the bridge to the other side, the Albanian side, and actually people were nice there too. So I had no complaints. It's the one thing I did notice, it was they danced in Kosovo like Greeks. So they danced with their arms around each other, just like they do in Greece. And I loved it because it was like the food wasn't that far off, and it was interesting, really interesting time and people. So, listen, tell me a little bit about, you're in Serbia. What's going on in Serbia in the startup ecosystem right now?
Well, to be honest, there's a lot of startups. We already have our first event within the startup network and organized our very first unicorn pitches. And uh, people who applied to the event were really amazed about the opportunities that have arise from the startup network, because generally there's like a couple of initiatives, and each initiative does its own thing separately. But I think that making like a syndicate, which I've seen that there's a case in the Silicon Valley, in the UK as well, to help not just in terms of raising money, but also supporting them to, if you don't have a money but you have a great idea, try to find and connect with the people who are going to help you just with the proper guidance, not going circling around and eventually lost your pace with the time and with idea that is probably going to be obsolete in a couple of years. As far as the Serbia, there are pretty good initiatives like Serbian Digital Initiative. They're trying not just to help to the startup ecosystem, but generally the whole businesses that could be related to any kind of automatization and digitization of their processes, not just the banks, but the real sector aside of the companies that have the information technology component, but also for the companies that are in FMCG, consumer goods, and production company like Fashion Union, for whom I'm employed as a CFO currently. And as far as that, I can say it's like 50-50. We're not moving in some sectors like agriculture, which is considered as the biggest strength for Serbia as far as our resources, natural resources are concerned. As far as the IT, by the last competitiveness report from the World Bank, it says that that's our major strength. Aside of the underdeveloped agricultural, which is by far the highest weakness, not just for
Well,
Serbia.
you got your master's degree in agriculture, didn't you?
I,
Agricultural
I did,
economics.
I did my bachelor's in agriculture and resource economics, but I have never been employed in the sector aside my FMCG venture 20 years ago. We had the bakery and we developed the business and went further to a couple of production facilities, worked with a couple of schools where we have a personal connection. And that was my first connection with entrepreneurship, because I didn't have the knowledge, I didn't have a tool, but I had a bit of talent and worked with the people who were self-made entrepreneurs with a lot of know-hows, but not a particular knowledge, not acquired through college or any proper professional courses. And I made mistakes through the process, but nevertheless, I learned from my own mistakes, especially about the marketing, distribution, how to handle new customer, how to retain the current ones. And through the process, I learned that analytics is really important, not in the commencement stage of your business, because you need to run in order to not to lose the position, and eventually the first investment we had in business, we couldn't afford it without any debt. So we had the debt, and when you had debt, especially in those socialistic terms, if you're not fast, you're going to become over debt. So we were like trying to utilize everything, and budget wasn't much of the help. And luckily, the market was still underdeveloped. It wasn't saturated as now is, and we made it. Like working for 11 years before we sold out our business, and then I moved to Telenor, where
And that was Ninan Bakery Crafts, yeah?
Yes, Nenad, a bakery.
Oh, wait a minute. Go before that. Why? So you went to Texas A&M, right?
Yep, I did my MBA there.
So, but
All
you
years.
also, so why did you decide to go to Texas?
Well, since there was a connection with University of Belgrade's Faculty of Economics and Business, they had a connection in the past with a couple of US universities. They also had a master's with a hack from Montreal and in Paris. Nevertheless, I really thought a terminal degree like MBA was that I'm generally seeking for. And while I was doing the bachelor's and graduate studies in agriculture and resource economics, and I really wanted to learn more about analytical tools, about the international business finance from the American professors, because generally the programs that I passed through University of Belgrade and later on through Erasmus program, where I did my master's with Wageningen University from Netherlands, Humboldt University of Berlin, and the exchange program they have with the University of Debrecen from Hungary. I learned that they're all good. They all have acquired their knowledge. All the professors that were having us taught through these programs, they really were, knowledgeable about the topics. Nevertheless, their execution lacks, less of consultancy. And while when I was enrolling my first model at MBA, I was, a bit.
Now, were you in Texas for that, or where were you? Were you in
partially in Belgrade and partially in Texas?
And how long were you in Texas?
More than a year. More than
Did you
1
have
year.
did you have any good ribs down there?
Well, to be
Barbecue
quite,
rib?
yeah, Yeah, yeah. And since I'm a kind of a guy that has a problem with food, I easily got overweight, so I need to always control myself with that. So the same thing is in a Belgrade. We also have here barbecues and a lot of ribs and um,
You
meat.
look like you're hungry just talking about it.
I'm started drooling.
I was gonna say you said it with a lot of passion. You know what I mean?
I don't drink, I don't smoke, but
Garlic bread, and you're all set.
I'm a kind of a gourmand. I like food, extremely like it,
Hmm.
and sometimes I need to be cautious with it because it's easy for me to gain like 30 pounds in less than 1.5, especially now I'm in that group of 40 plus. So I need to be cautious
You
because
can
it's
gain
harder.
40 pounds in a month and a half.
Yeah, yeah. I eat a lot because I sleep like 6.5 to 7 hours in a day, and less walking, less hiking, and everything
Well,
in
you would
that.
think that would give you more time because you have more hours,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
So,
right.
so you did the so you went down through it. You were in the Master of Arts in Agricultural Economics. Then you went through it, and I see there was really a transition. Although I see Big Pizza, Deputy Chief Financial and Operating Officer.
Well, I moved from Telenor to Meme Team Food. That's the proper name of the company, and they're familiar here for their brand Big Pizza. It's the thing that they sell mostly. Like 90% of their sales goes to Big Pizza product. Capricciosa or any Italian. That's a small family office become corporate, and before becoming corporate, I was working as a consultant to a friendly company, and they weren't seen as a partner. Nevertheless, I was connected to them through a person that I did a successful consulting in the past. Not just the analytical part, but also implementation of proper CRM and decision making tool. And they didn't had a kind of a big budget like corporation does.
Hmm.
So I found a proper solution. Nevertheless, in the first couple of months, what you do a lot of manual analytics through Excel, Access, or any other trial tool that you can and get some meaningful data to help them to decide and see what the proper analytics can do to the to business and what kind of value it brings generally.
So let's talk about it. Let's talk about developing reliable uh, analytics to support decision making. So, what about in Serbia? Is it? Do you see those kind of companies that have those capabilities? Are you seeing them come up? Those companies that do data analytics or not? How is it right now in the market?
Well, I'll try to connect the dots. Of course, international corporations like Telenor that I've spent almost 10 years, they didn't generated the hot water. They just have translated the best practice of their business in the region. So before they come to Serbia, they worked in Hungary, and all the best practices were just translated. Of course, we already had some internally developed tools in each sector, from marketing department, which encompasses sales, marketing, and customer care. And later on in the stages, they moved with a technology division, because in order to follow the market and attract the consumers in a proper way, you need to be more to close a bit more with technology to understand the marketing needs and the specificity of the market. Since we were underdeveloped and we were just copying what was happening in the region, and it just uh, pretty much was leading like 2 years from the Sweden, from Norway, and just speaking adding more years to that from the UK and the US in terms of cellular phone technology. And while all that happened, the new technology arrived, like moving from 3G to HSPA to HSPA plus, 4G, and now 5G. And I think that gap becomes each year less and less. Maybe we are like half year or year behind what is going on in the UK or in the US, which wasn't the case 15 years ago. But as far as the analytics,
How was
uh,
it 15 years ago?
well, we had some CRM tools. Generally, they were supportive to people who are in the sales department to know a bit about what happened with the past owners, what were the current clients, what were their current needs, and generally to understand previous loyalty programs in order to make the newer loyalty programs better.
Got it.
So what I can add now, it's all now concerning big data management, IoT services, and of course, depending of the specificity of business. If you're working for an FMCG company that is just doing the trading, then you don't have a higher fixed cost. You generally have something that goes to the retail chains, and you have some kind of a relationship with the producers, and you got your margin within that chain. And as far as the production companies, you need to have more in-depth analytics, not just that supports the consumer segment, but and market segment as well. But aside of the financial and controlling function, it needs to encompass processes, inventory management, communication between the stakeholders, and before all of that goes to some kind of a meaning, certain meaning for management, you need to find a proper tool that encompass all these functions. It's not easy. There are a lot of solutions, from Microsoft Navision to Cognos to SATs. What they do, their Oracle business intelligence suites, and of course SAP as one of the most familiar from the Germany, that is practically like in 90% of the companies who have the who are production oriented. As far as the service oriented companies, they decide on two ways. The first way is like they're going to develop their own solution from something that practically become a customizable solution with their own team, or like a startups nowadays trying to develop their own platforms that can satisfy anything from marketing information to finance forecasting, and not just that just don't relies only for historical data, but also from some samples that have certain probability that the certain outcome is going to happen or not. So a lot of I used tools aside of SPSS statistical software in the past to help me manipulate data, but also use and had some basic training for Cognos that helped me to get data from which I would analyze and try to find meaningful information before translating it to something that management would like to see before making the next step. And as far as that, I would like to add a bit more about the big data, because I think it's the most important. So for your event, I think that raises the question: why is the data collected? So the human mind cannot even imagine the amount of data that even a small group of users exchange via the internet on a daily basis. So computer can handle this, but in this field too, the situation has become so complicated over time that it has been necessary to look for new ways of perceiving and analyzing the data circulating, so that their collection and sorting can be useful and meaningful as well. So over the years, in the span of the past 25 years, we have increasingly come across a term called big data, and where the aforementioned phrase is used to denote a process that involves finding, sharing, storing, analyzing, and presenting an incalculable amount of digital data. So even beyond our awareness and control over all the business processes that create big data, they, through all of our activities, become an integral part of everything we are, have and do become an integral part of our lives. Collecting and sorting details about our habits, decisions, life decisions, business decisions, style, groups we belong to, the circumstances in which we live, constantly analyzing such data in order to increase efficiency and develop new products so the people like us like it more. This doesn't just concern for corporation, but also for any entrepreneurial endeavor. So big data consists of different data, various set of data with various meanings, and the volume of which of which is constantly increasing at an ever increasing rate. Uh, the idea is that it's not a new concept, but it's newly packed. So it's the concept that was created in the early 60s when the first data warehouses began to build. So data storages today are done with the help of processes that cost much less than a few years ago, which makes their collection, sorting, and storage much more useful in every sense of that word. So collecting data in this way is useful for many entities, companies, enterprises, speaking about the SMBs as well, not just the corporations, clients or consumers, whatever you call it, advertisers, all those who want in any way to get as reliable information about the market, competition, customer habits, price adjustments, and countless other details that are on this way possible to find out. So this way of obtaining specific data is much more practical than conducting a research of surveying those who should be available. Who should be involved in the process and find them available. So, for example, the fact that a buyer.
Listen, we're coming to the top of the hour. I don't want you to get cut off because we're like 1 minute away. So we got a couple of minutes of free time, but I don't want you to get cut off. So can you give us a summary and then tell us how people can reach out to you?
Well, yeah. Well, what is the most important thing? Well, the important thing is that you have a solution that can answer to all the questions of your business need, not just about a market. And generally, if you have a problem with the financing, you also can close that with a lot of tools that can give you the information about the most accessible and cheaper finances, not just in the region, but wherever you can get it. And there are such tools, and in order to get it, you need to hire a proper consultant who first and foremost needs to analyze the proper assessment, not just buying and paying the consultant per hour to get some information that is going to give you a lot of data, but not the ones that reflect your current state and your business planning. And in that sense, we all are just striving to maximize profit and optimize our costs with a proper allocation. So they can find me on LinkedIn. Just put Gajo Vanka, and we can move from that on. Or they can also connect Gary and see whether we have a certain connection to GSD Venture Studios as well. So as far as that concerns, I'm really happy to have the opportunity to help those in need in terms of implementing their software and in terms of business planning development from the early stage to the later on in terms of later or product development or any stage of their current product. So as far as that concerned, working with the startups in Southeast Europe, not just Serbia particularly, but any other country in the region, and connecting them with potential investors, and of course with software implementators who are going to help them to properly identify their business needs. So that will be pretty much of what I had to say for the event.
And then what's the best way to reach out to you?
My mobile number or my email. Like
Vanka. Email,
Vanka Gajo, it's like Vanka Gajo at yahoo.com. co.uk.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with me today. It's greatly appreciated. And thanks to my audience for joining another edition of GSD Presents Silicon Valley AI and Tech. And my name is Gary Fowler, and I'm your host. I'll be back again next Tuesday with another exciting edition. Stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. I'll see you later. Thanks again. Appreciate your time. Take care, everybody. Talk to you
Likewise.
soon.